Hello, lovelies. Good morning. It's Sunday and a beautiful morning. It's a little foggy, but I think that's even better for a writing, moody day. So today we don't have any tea because we're gonna be on the go. We're heading out the door as soon as we finish this quick chat, but I wanted to talk about what the plan is and what we're gonna get done together. So first, I'm gonna work on world building because I had some beta readers finish the partial version of Potentia, which is a dark academia novel I'm working on. And I think the characters are in a good spot, but I've been reading a lot of books lately. One of them, How Innovation Works by Matt Riley. Prisoners of Geography. I mentioned this in a few different videos. I've also been watching a lot of videos about geography and geopolitics and how that influences the world. And I just have some new ideas for my world building. I think I can make it much richer and kind of a lot more realized than it is right now. And that'll really influence how I continue writing towards the end. And then also I want to kind of rewrite the beginning. So I have a new method / strategy for my world building. Normally, I brainstorm in a book journal like this. The pages are kind of smaller and it's a lot more text heavy than other things. For the Power of Shadows, I use something of this size, still kind of lined, but it definitely gave a better mix of drawing and just more space to kind of spread out. Now I'm gonna try an even bigger notebook and no lines, so there can be nothing reining in my creativity. The idea is that I'll have a lot more free space to sketch out maps and get a better idea of how things work and kind of have similar to like an infinite canvas on an iPad, but more not infinite because I really like my tools that I can hold and kind of be off the screen. So that's the plan for today. We're gonna do some world building, maybe get some writing in there and see some fun sights and go hang out around the city. And do I have good news for you? Now, whereas normally this would only be a few hours after, and a nice little check-in after my Sunday morning writing session, it has been a full week. But with that full week, I have made a lot of progress on the world building. And in the past, I think I would have beat myself up for not getting more progress every single day. But I think I've been approaching writing in a way that I want to change. I think I've been focusing on it kind of as if it's a zero sum. But this many hours in, I get this much out. A little bit like the business or grind mindset. But since it's a creative practice, it is so important to incorporate all the different things that you learn, and that I think I've said this in previous videos, but it's not just about the button seat time writing, but it's about what you're learning and the ways that the different experiences you have can really influence your story and work their way into how you're thinking about things and how you want to say what you want to say. So that all to be said, I feel like I've had a lot of good osmosis from just my time in the world. I've been reading and watching and learning so many good things that I think have cured my writer's block. And I think this kind of block I've had with Potentia, the current story I'm writing, which is a dark academia novel, basically where people can defy the laws of physics, and it's very academic and set where you have to really understand the laws of physics and all the different rules that you're gonna be breaking before you can actually break them and walk on walls and do cool stuff like that. Anyways, I hadn't really had a very clear picture of the history of this world, of how the geography influenced the way that the society's been set up, and ways to surround kind of this overall thesis of mine, which is basically about the democratization of education and how important it is to have knowledge be widespread and widely accessible. Anyways, now that I've observed and learned and spent so much time thinking about the real world and talking to different people, I feel like I've had a breakthrough. So here, an update on the big empty pages. I like them a lot. I do like that, you know, I can do more things like draw a big map and just have like ideas as they come and write things down. So I am enjoying the large notebook for sure. In the large notebook, I have my new game plan and just kind of the few key things that weren't clear before, but now feel like they've completely unlocked the story. Like, I didn't know where to go. I was stuck at like 60% and I just didn't have an idea of where it should go from there. And I think going back and retaking the time to like really sink into the world and sink into the history and why things would be the way they are have like completely unlocked the rest of it. So I really could not be more ecstatic. I don't know if you can tell. That part is all fantastic. Before we go to my next point, which is another very exciting update, back to just the osmosis of the world. Like, I was flying from the East Coast to West Coast, and it's a long flight. And normally I don't always strike up a conversation. My brother is fantastic at that. He's very charming. He one time got an investment banker to talk for like 3 hours about just anything. I'm not normally like that, but this time I did. And the person I was talking to is a teacher at ROTC, which is like a military program in college. And I just talked to him for so long about his stories and hearing about his life, and genuinely just very interested. And I think things like that, where you're exposed to a lot of different people who you normally wouldn't come into contact with in your daily life, it's just so important. And so such a good way to enrich your story. And it's part of that soft time put in that you don't think about, but that will ultimately make your story just like so much better. And I can already tell, and I have so many ideas. Like before, I don't think I'd had a really good character, but hearing about the way he really cared about his students and how much, he wanted them to succeed in the ways that he did, and his thought process behind it has really kind of influenced my ideas around one of the characters in my story, and wanting to give kind of a better teacher, put somebody in there that's, so they're not all just bad. So just, yeah, more just, I don't know, observations about the world and fully engaging in it. Even though they're not directly time writing, I think it helps so much. But back to the very exciting update, which is not necessarily an update, but it's that this cute little book nook that we assembled together, I have not been using it. I think the last time I was sitting here was the last time we were chatting here, so a while ago. I tried for a little bit to have like a monitor here so I could work in here sometimes, but I think I just want to not do that. I deal with technology so much in my day-to-day life that I don't need it here. So that's gonna get moved out. So I was thinking we could spend a little time also cleaning this off, which, I don't know if you can see, but it's gonna be a mess. And then also, I've really been wanting to do this like collage of all the fun stuff down here. I have this pile of different art and things that I want to hang, and so we're gonna put that on this back wall and kind of just create this oasis, so that now with my enhanced clarity for my world building and a nice, clean, creative space, I'll be ready to kind of power through and finish up this draft and have it be something that I'm really happy with. So let's do that together now. Odds that I accidentally knock this over and spill it are so high that it's getting pushed out of the way. slight aside, because I'm definitely the type of person to get very distracted by everything I'm cleaning as I'm cleaning. But if you remember, I did this video, or if you didn't get a chance to watch it, I'll link it here, about comparing different writing devices and how to use them. And in that, I used a quill, which I was shocked to like as much as I did. And since then, I have developed a slightly unhealthy but really entertaining love and fascination of fountain pens. This one's my favorite. And they're just so lovely to write with. They're so nice. So just wanted to give a little update. So much more window. In my last video when I was setting up this nook, I hung these things here, the whiteboard and the corkboard, and there's one more corkboard above, but I have yet to use them at all. I think that having them right here is just a little too inconvenient. It's really, there's no great way for me to take them down and like write on them or pin stuff. And so I'm gonna put them on the big collage wall over here. So let's take them down. I have this really cool piece of art that my mom got me for Christmas. It's the Golden Gate Bridge, but it's done with literally individual keystrokes from a typewriter. So I want to definitely have this as a focal point, but I definitely also want to have the whiteboard accessible. So I'm trying to figure out where exactly to put this, because it's definitely going to be just a part of the whole collage and not the whole thing. So we'll figure it out. Also, I definitely took some paint off the wall when taking down those corkboards. It's quite nice. Okay. I am just using the same command strip that was on the back of these on the other wall, so here's to hoping they don't fall. I think all three in the same side, or one under here. There's gonna be a collage with more stuff. Maybe one under here. It is progressing. My brother, wrong way, got me these dudes for my birthday, and they go on the wall, and then they kind of are supposed to look like they're climbing it, which is very cute. I both love rock climbing. And obviously the people will walk in my book, my current draft, and then they also climb a little bit in the power shadows, so these will be fun. Okay, I have these two typewriter ones, so I think I'm gonna put them here and cover up that little paint thing. Wow! That turned out way more even than I expected. I somehow always pinch myself on this tripod. It hurts. This up here or down here? I don't know, because it probably blocks in the whiteboard. I feel like this would be quite funny, hanging here, and just a little guy hanging. Yeah, you see the vision? I like it. I like it. Okay, now this one might be, I don't know, a little kooky, a little fun. But I have these little guys that are pretty small, and they do fit pretty perfectly just on here. So, I don't know, would that be silly? It's my place, don't try it. Okay, I'm doing with push pins, so theoretically it's a little bit less permanent. My grandma hangs almost everything in her apartment with sewing pins. It's kind of crazy. It makes me feel a little better when I'm doing it. I'm still an adult. Okay, it's a little cute. A little silly, but a little cute. I might move them. Let me know down in the comments. Here they are in all their glory. The wall's really coming together. Just need to fill this space up here, but I do have some pieces left. I have this one that has been in my room since I was a little girl, and it says, "Are you a princess?" I said, and she said, "I'm much more than a princess, but you don't have a name for it yet here on Earth." My mom loves these story people, and it's been here for a while, so I think it's gonna go up there. All right, I have one last hanging man, and I'm thinking I could either put him here or I can put him over here. There he is in all his glory, swinging. Okay, I could not be more pleased with the update on the little corner, so let's look at it. Here I have my new collage wall. A lot of things that I love, and it's a lot easier to come over here and write stuff down or pin stuff up. And then over here we have the new clean desk once again. My clock is charged, my little author clock that each time says a little quote. It's adorable. I always love when I see a book I've read or a quote I recognize. It's like a little treat. Then I have my candle warmer. Now here, these cute little typewriter photos that my mom got. And then some more little climbing hanging guys and a little tiara. So with that, I'm ready now to get back to work. This was a nice long procrastination time. But next, I want to do just a little bit more research because I know as a writer can never resist just a little bit more. Just, you know, I research one more thing and then everything will be perfect, right? But in this case, I want to really nail down what the level of technology is, since kind of innovation is really central to the core themes of Potentia. I want to figure out exactly kind of where in space and time innovation is, especially since I think that will develop differently in this society than it would have in the US or in other areas of Earth and reality. So I'm gonna look that up and kind of create a timeline, and then after that we can get to doing some plotting. Hello, it's cozy and nighttime now. I finished making my list of the different inventions and kind of gave me a better idea of the time of technology that I wanted to set both in. Also to decide, I was thinking about this while I was reorganizing everything, but lately I just feel like I am so imprecise with my word choice, and I feel like I used to be very confident and proud of how well I could speak kind of just on the spot. And lately, not just here to camera, obviously by myself, but in normal conversation, I also find that I'm just not getting the exact word that I want. And the best way to say it is just imprecise. Like, they're not wrong, but it's not, you know, I don't feel like I'm using my vocabulary to the best of its ability, and I just feel a little clunky when I talk. Anyways, with that aside, I figured out generally the era of technology that both kind of one area or province of my setting is going to be in, and then another one, kind of the difference in technology and the way that knowledge influences and the dissemination of knowledge influences the progress that can be made is a big part of the book. So this is super helpful. Also got another beta reader's feedback back, and the beta readers right now are just kind of friends and family, so that's super exciting. I am going to read through that and see what I can incorporate there. And then after that, in a past vlog, I created this little binder that has different scenes and just like kind of high level title of the scene, so I could kind of map out. And I did map out all the way to the end, but I think I was still a little confused. And now that I have a better grasp and handle on the world building as a whole, I'm gonna probably rework some of those. So I'm first gonna rework it in my now kind of big blank pages, because I've really been enjoying that and how much I can spread out and see and kind of connect thoughts together. It's interesting how differently my brain works when it's looking at a lined page where I have to think sequentially and I have to kind of write it that way, versus when I just have blank paper and I can like, oh, that makes me think of this, I'm gonna write a little note over here. So it's been interesting for sure. But I have my tea. Next I'm gonna read through those notes and then see where to go from there. Welcome back. I finished reading the beta reader feedback. There was also a little bit more feedback commented directly on the document, so I read more of that. And I think overall it kind of matches what I already knew, which is that I really like the dynamic of the main two characters. That was kind of the most fun part for me, and that the world building is a little weak, a little confusing, which is fair because I think that's not quite nearly as fleshed out as it needs to be for this type of story and for the choices I'm making. So I really want to go back and be more intentional with my choices for early scenes and kind of the first 20%, so they can really set a sharp contrast with the break into two and where they go from there. If you haven't heard of like the break into two, it comes from the story beats in Save the Cat book, which I actually have over here. I love this book. It definitely has helped me frame the way I think about stories and the structure of them. There's this kind of general structure that most stories follow, and so that's super helpful. Highly recommend. The other book over there was my book, The Power of Shadows. Yeah, I don't think I've said that yet this vlog, so if you're into young adult fantasy with a lot of romance, it's about a princess named Eston whose brother gets kind of kidnapped by a warring kingdom and she has to go on this journey to save him. There's romance, there's magic, a lot of fun times. So small plug for my book. But back to discussing the world building of this one. I have a lot of choices now, which I don't think I'd made before. I was kind of leaving my options open, but I think they really inform where the story kind of goes. So now, knowing what I know and kind of where I want it to lead, I'm going to redo the beginning, and I think that'll help me have a much more clear direction for the end, which is kind of where I'm stuck now. So I'm going to list out all the scenes. And I also did get a new computer this week. My old computer had finally kicked the bucket, so I have a beautiful new laptop. My other one does not turn on. The battery has completely died, which is fair. I've been using it since high school. But I'm excited. I have Scrivener loaded on here, and I'm gonna kind of put it back in. But going back through my old files that were saved from my last computer, it's interesting to see how long I've been working on this particular story, and that, you know, here, I'll show you. So here's kind of the timeline from when I initially started it, and all of these dates are for 2022. I wrote kind of the first 70,000 words, all before I graduated college, and it's been years since then. So yeah, it's been a while, and you know, the first 80K I completely scrapped and then started rewriting, so it's not necessarily the same words, but same characters and kind of same general idea, and it's been a long work in progress and still got a lot to go. But I think I'm learning more and more, and not necessarily learning because it's something I always knew in the abstract, but internalizing that it's about the journey, and that any time I can dedicate to just playing and imagining my own world, and yeah, basically just playing with my imaginary little characters and thinking about what I want to say and how that would affect these made-up people in made-up worlds with made-up magic systems. Anytime I get to do that is a blessing, and just, you know, I feel lucky to get to do that. So definitely trying to trust the process more and more as I go. But let's list out some scenes. Well, hello. I finished my exercise of writing out all the scenes. So I wrote out all the scenes that I currently have, and then I also wrote out the ones that I had planned on doing. I had lightly plotted out the rest. I was in love with the direction though, so I never really felt like writing because I just didn't think it was the right thing. And if you're not going in the right direction, it's really hard to motivate yourself to want to take any steps there. So I marked each scene with a rewrite, delete, or kind of leave for now, based on just kind of all the feedback I've gotten and all the things that I know I want to change. And then I also wrote some notes of different characters to change, one to introduce, and just like overarching ideas of things that I want to emphasize more and things that I want to make sure are set up, so kind of different purposes for scenes, in so far as how they're going to fit into the overarching story. So next I think I'm going to pull the current draft. Also, I don't know if I showed you this, but look how cute this cover is. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's a library. Anyways, I'm very pleased with that. So I'm going to go take my current version that's in Pages and put it into Scrivener, broken out by the scenes, and then I'm going to kind of fit in the scenes and loosely sketch out the rest of what the plot line should look like, and also put in the scenes that are missing from the beginning that I now know I want to be there, and have an overarching skeleton, and hopefully that'll be a good guide for me moving forward. So that is the next step. I know you've seen a lot of this corner by this point, but is it cute? What do you think? Should I move anything? I don't know. I'm happy that it's like less blank. I think the blank was like a good look and definitely something that a lot of people would like, but just not me. This, like, the chaos feels so much more me and much more like creatively inspiring. So I'm very excited about that. I'm gonna go into the other room to open up Scrivener and start working on that. Good morning. It's a bright and sunny day outside, looking like quite the beautiful day to get some editing done. So last night I started mapping out, I just kind of moved all of my current draft into Scrivener, which I've done several times before with this book, but I think now I'm at a better place to start shaping the story and structuring it. So I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna close off the vlog here. So thanks for joining me for this little writing vlog, and hopefully this either inspired you or you got to write a little bit alongside me. And if you enjoyed this, then you might enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.